Hey guys, welcome back. So now for this one, I want to go back and talk about why we're finding deathlocks all over the place before we get into the conclusion of the Death Hunters, with that series just being a part of a much bigger story that's building up. So before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch us spills every week, and don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squat up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so for the most part, all of this starts from what we'd seen in Avengers issue 750, at least from a linear perspective, because at that time when we talked about the significance of the Avengers 1 million BC, as well as why Mephisto wanted them gone, this then led us to finding Doom Supreme, who's from an alternate universe 1 million years in the past on Earth 616, which is where he met 616 Mephisto, who at the time had dropped the idea in his mind of assembling the Multiversal Masters of Evil, who essentially was a team that was handpicked by Doom Supreme with the agenda of going to every Earth 1 million years in the past to kill each version of the Avengers 1 million BC in order to rewrite the timeline on every world so that the Age of Heroes would never happen. And with doing so, any of them could just rewrite that world's history in their image. But for us, back in 2021, in the Free Comic Book Day Hulk issue, we had gotten a glimpse or a teaser for the events that we're seeing unfolding now, because at the very beginning of that issue, it had taken us over to the God Quarry at Infinity's End, which some of you guys may remember from the Thanos 2017 series when we first got the introduction, and with how it was introduced at the time, it was shown to be this realm at the edge of the universe that some would call the Quarry of Creation or Infinity's End. And in this quarry at the time, which was guarded by 3 witches known as the Coven, different gods would enter in, they would be tested, and if I remember correctly, when they passed the test, they'd come out with their full potential, but if they failed, they would be just trapped there. And at the time with how this was presented, it very much felt like Marvel's version of the Source Wall, with the whole gods going there to die thing, them getting trapped there, edge of the universe, stone-like figures. There's a lot of similarities. But within the Infinity War storyline, we'd also seen Loki cross a barrier, which had taken him to the Primordial universe, where he found countless Celestials and a litter of Infinity Stones, which weren't usable there, but it was more so showing how the Celestials would distribute these stones across the multiverse. But in 2021, this is when we got the introduction to this disturbance that had been discovered at Infinity's End, to where at this point a number of temporal cataclysms had been detected. And at this point, when we return to Infinity's End, we find a citadel that is also said to be a lighthouse at the root of all and always. But plain and simple, it's Avengers Tower. But with how it's described here, it's built within this megaversal orchard in the rich soil of rotting gods. It took a number of Starks, Thors, and Visions days to build it, yet one Avenger stands alone within its halls, to whom you may have guessed is Avenger Prime. But once again, throughout this preview, Avenger Prime is very much a mystery and yet to be revealed at this time. But when we jump in, we see that Avenger Prime has called a number of deathlocks, telling them that this is a primary Omega alert because of a mysterious phenomenon that's registering shockwaves of full chronal collapse across the multiverse. And these deathlocks that we see here, many of whom look quite familiar, but with seeing these guys here, we're told that they were assembled as cybernetic soldiers whose human portions were mined from the lost fruits that sometimes fall from the orchard, with that orchard of course being the quarry. And it also goes on to describe these guys as sour apples that have been lost in the ether. And with them being converted into deathlocks, it's pretty much like them getting one more chance at redemption. But with us seeing Avenger Prime call these guys to check out this anomaly, we then find that Avenger Prime sends all agents into the field immediately, to where from there we see a number of them go into the superflow, which is like Marvel's version of the bleed, the space between universes. But with doing this, the Avenger Prime has sent out these deathlocks to make their way to different Earths across the megaverse to gather as much information as possible about this anomaly and report what they find back to Avenger Prime. And it's here where we follow one of these deathlocks who make their way to Earth 10222, which is an Earth that is described to be pretty much a paradise, because here Atlantis had never fell as a result of the Great Cataclysm of 18,000 BC, and on this world, within this modern day paradise, it's guarded by the almighty Atlantean Avengers. And really, just from the look of these guys, I imagine they have some really interesting backstories, but unfortunately we never get into that. And I'll tell you why in just a moment. Because with the deathlock that was heading here to Earth 10222, he finds himself blindsided by the Berserker Wolverine of the Dark Phoenix. And immediately this deathlock tries to get more information on this Wolverine because he don't look right. But all this deathlock is told is that this Wolverine is not of this universe. But finally, when this deathlock lands on Earth 10222, which is supposed to be a paradise, only for him to get here and find that this place is completely barren, because this Earth was at the epicenter of a temporal cataclysm. And with seeing this, the Deathlock is like, how did this happen? Answer, unknown. To where then he's like, well, where do I find Atlantis? Where do I find the Avengers? Only for him then to find out that the Avengers don't exist in this reality. But because he knows how this world should have been, right away he knows that this Earth's reality has been rewritten. And when he figures this out, it's then just a case of him asking the right question. And from there, when he asks where did these shockwaves originate, it's here where he gets the answer, roughly 1 million years in the past. But just moments after this, the computer then tells him, correction, Avenger detected. And it's right there where he just sees this head roll, which is the head of a Ghost Rider from Earth 1719. And this head just starts talking like, hello, is someone there? If you are there, run. Please run, because I cannot help what's about to. And then boom, this head just explodes, blasting this Deathlock like something out of a Terminator film. But when this happens, this Deathlock reports the last bit of information from what he's seen and what he's gathered, because it's here where he discovered that he's been hunted down by the Multiversal Masters of Evil, who, like we were told in the recent issues of Avengers, these guys have been making their way across the multiverse, killing the Avengers 1 million BC and rewriting the history of a number of different Earths. But in addition to that, when they found out that these Deathlocks had been sent out and investigating, which let them know that these Deathlocks were on their trail. So to keep everything on the low, the Masters of Evil, they went on the side mission of killing all the Deathlocks, because they wanted to make sure that the secret of what they were doing didn't get out. But with them killing this Deathlock, a message of course had made its way out, calling to all Earths, sending a warning for all Avengers to let them know that the Masters of Evil are coming, which is what then takes us into the Death Hunters story that we're covering now. But even with what we're shown throughout Death Hunters, there's still a lot more going on in the bigger picture, because with Death Hunters, it's really just a bunch of Deathlocks getting killed off, with the Masters of Evil trying to cover their tracks, and then Avengers Forever, that story starts to take us to the different Earths, with a ton of variants of nearly every hero scattered throughout that series, both in the main Avengers Forever series and in the Infinity Comics. But let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments below. Hopefully we shed a little light on the answer to where all these Deathlocks came from, but on top of that, by all means, have fun with it. And let me know if you guys think you know who Avenger Prime is. Could it be Loki? Could it be Thane? Could it be a group of Avengers merged into one? I'm curious to know what you guys think. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below so you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.